Welcome to That's Good Parenting, the podcast that searches for simple steps to reduce your parenting stress. I'm your host, Dori Durbin, children's book illustrator, book coach, ghostwriter, and podcaster. Listeners, are you a parent who has witnessed maybe a funny kid incident? Maybe you survived a troublesome parenting moment, or you really wanted to give some parenting advice to someone else? If so, then maybe you also thought, wow, that actually would make a great book. Yes? Then this episode is for you. Today, we're exploring the realities of becoming a published author and how it could create new opportunities for your family, and it's actually more accessible than you actually think. Our guest today is Mila Johansen. Mila is a writing, publishing, and public speaking coach who helps people write, publish in any genre. Mila guides her authors through every writing step from idea to advertising on Amazon. Welcome, Mila.
I'm so honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's so good to have you. I'm so glad that you're here. And I know that this is a love for both of us. Talking about books is awesome. So, as a children's book illustrator and book coach, I know that you love to talk about writing. I love to talk about writing, and that writing is this huge journey that you go through. In the end, though, you end up with a book, and that book is simply magical to hold in your hand. So, before we dive into how parents can become published authors, could you share with our listeners what made you so passionate about helping your authors get started on their books to begin with?
Well, it's a funny story. When I was a little girl, I went to see Mary Poppins, the original one, which dates me. And I came home and I went in my room and I shut the door and I did some chalk drawings. They're probably crayons. I still can't even draw stick people, so they probably weren't very good. And I closed my eyes and I jumped in thinking I would be transported to the world of merry-go-rounds and penguins. And I wasn't. And then I tried 8 times. But it's funny, I still believed I could, and I still believe I can because I've had some, spiritual experiences since. And so I said, well, if I can't make the magical land that way, I'll write a book. And I was 8, right? So I started writing a book and I wrote a page and a half and I quit because I was 8. And then I always wanted to be a writer. And I was thinking Nancy Drew and all the Oz books. My mother read me all the Oz books. She had the hardbound ones from England. And so I grew up in Oz. And later on, I wrote 3 of the first books into fabulous musicals that were performed in our community and all over the US. And so that's how I became a writer. And then at 18, I do this to people. My mother tricked me into becoming a writer. She said, Mila, she's a teacher. I know you've always wanted to be a writer. So why don't you write 1 sentence a day? And I thought, well, I could write 1 sentence a day, but Dora, you can't because it's like potato chips. You have to write more. So I would write a page and a half. And by the end of the month, I was a writer and she tricked me. So I do that to people. I teach a lot and I have a lot of clients and I say, okay, just write 20 minutes a day is all we ask on the street now. Toni Morrison, the famous author, she wrote 15 minutes a day for her first novel because that's all the time she had between raising children and working. And then she became a famous novelist. And so I tell people even 5 minutes a day add up to a book. And then people come back and they go, you tricked me. I can't just write 5 minutes a day. So my mother did it to me and I do it to you.
I love that. I love this story too about your fantasy of like leaping into that world, because you create that world all the time when you're working with your authors or with you in your own works. That is awesome. So when I work with experts, one of the funny things that happens is I realize all of a sudden that these experts are also parents, right? And what's funny about that is that they have these great stories from their own parenting experiences. They realize things that they didn't realize that they were doing, and they're watching these antics that happen with their kids. So, but even as these brilliant, well-spoken professional people have the pen in their hand, they struggle with self-doubt, and it keeps them from moving ahead. So when you work with your authors, do you find a lot of times that imposter syndrome is something that's holding them back? And if so, what do you do to knock them out of that?
Well, I tell everyone not to write perfect. We're supposed to blather it down, a huge mess, and then fix it later. And a lot of people say, no, but I'm a perfectionist. I go, well, then you won't be able to write your book. You won't be able to finish it probably. So Barbara Kingsolver, the famous novelist, says to give yourself permission to write a bad book and then work on it until it's a good book. And she explained that is blather it down. Don't use any grammar. Don't use any spelling. Don't worry about that. And later on, you'll read it and you'll go, oh, what a mess. You'll go back, and most times you'll go, oh, it's not so bad. It's pretty good. And then I met a man at Comic-Con. I've been going to Comic-Con for years with my daughter. And I go to all the writing workshops and agent workshops. All the agents there, it's a good place to meet agents because they all say, if you were in this room with us, you can send your manuscript to me and I'll read it, at least 10 pages. So anyway, he was a great guy because he was writing a book a month, if you can believe it. And he had this huge whiteboard behind him, like 2 or 3 of them. And he would write his plot. He was a plotter. Are you a plotter or a pantser? But he would write it and subject to change. But here's what his rule that he taught me. And I'm helping so many people with this, and it really helped me. Give yourself a dedicated writing time, whether it's 20 minutes or 4 hours like he did. He wrote 8 to 12. He didn't say it, but that's what Isaac Asimov did. I know that's where he got the idea. But anyway, so he would write 8 to 12, and he wouldn't allow himself in those writing hours to hide behind, which I do, research or editing. Only new writing. And that's how he'd get a book done a month. So I've taken that on. Even if I just have a little while, I don't allow myself to go into editing or research until night when I'm tired or something, And so you can't hide behind that because I did. I was doing that before I met him. And this was about 12 years ago. So I'm very strict with myself. And now I tell everyone else to do the same thing. So just make sure if it's only 20 minutes, it's only writing. If it's 2 hours, okay. But no hiding behind research and editing.
That's great advice. I think that messy middle is so hard for people to be okay with too, especially like you said, the perfectionist. I do acrylic art sometimes for people. And when I start, it looks kind of good. And I get into the middle and I'm like, I hate that. Yeah, put this thing away. This is awful. Should I start over? And my husband, in his wisdom, and I'll give him these kudos, you're hearing it now. Oh, he'll say, give it 10 more minutes. Give it 10 more minutes. Keep working on it for 10 minutes. Walk away, come back, 10 minutes. And somehow, and I think writing is the same way, all of a sudden you start to pick out things that you actually like. And you're like, oh, I actually, like you said, I like this part. Okay, there's other parts. And that it's that messy middle, though, that stops a lot of people because it doesn't look like anything.
That happened to me. I used to make collages. And here's one I made about a book I'm writing. I just made a cover I kind of want to make. And I make collages still. But when I made it when I was young, I would make them for people, like a sports one for my father. And they were, and I'd get into them. Oh, yeah, it's great. And right in the middle, I would hate it. And then after I got over that hump, it would turn out really good and I'd love it. And writing's the same way. You're right. That messy middle, we don't talk about that enough.
No. And everybody faces it. Everybody, it's whether or not you get through it or not. So, and most people just abandon it at that point and say, well, it's not going to turn out. So
that is exactly right. And so if you push through, and that's like also writing, like I teach a class, write your short book in a day. And right in the middle, some people get a little defeated, like, oh, is it turning out? But I tell them, when you give it a few days and they come back and read it, it will be better than you thought. I go back and read my old writings and I'm like, I guess I was as good of a writer then as I am now. All these are my 22 plays and musicals behind me. And I wrote them for our theater company and I'm prolific. So I wrote all of those and I did this book, and this is a book about my grandmother. And then this book, the more books you put on Amazon, the more you build your algorithms. So write as many as you can. And this is a short book, but I'm making it into a long book, the Bible of self-publishing now. So you can I teach just one thing where you write your 36-page book first, because that's the shortest book you can put on Amazon self-publishing that has a little bit of a spine. And then you can take that book and expand it to your longer book. Like a lot of people are opting to do the comfortable 120-page book. That's what most people are doing now, if it's like nonfiction business book or something. And then you can take that and make it into the 200-page book or 300. We're not doing missionary anymore. We're not doing 500-page books, but you can take the same book and get like 5 books out of it. And the way I learned that was I had these long plays And we would do them in our theater because we had time to rehearse it with 40 kids. And then I sold them to other theater companies, but they didn't have time to rehearse an hour and a half long play or musical. So I cut them to medium and short. But now I'm teaching people to go the other way, write the short and then expand it to the medium and long later and get more books out of one book.
That's awesome. I love that idea too. That was actually one of my questions with next was, I use like a 5-phase process when I take people through children's books. Like when we're actually doing picture books, we start with the character, we move into the story, editing, the formatting, and then the publishing. But you actually have that short book. And so it sounds like it's 32 pages and they start
36.
there. Oh, 36 pages. And they start there with their simple idea. How do you, let's say I wanted to write a book like that. How would you start me off doing that?
Well, I would say like in the class, we just start writing and we do like the 5-hour class. And most people don't finish their book. They want to make it longer. But if they do my formula, they do. This book I wrote in that class right into a template from KDP. KDP has so many attributes. And one of them is that they have templates. So you want to join before you're ready to publish and take the tutorials, get a template. 6x9 is industry standard. So you want to put a lot of value into that 36-page book because this book by itself has garnered me 7,000 emails because I speak on a lot of summits and podcasts and I give it away. And then I get their emails because I have it set up in a CRM program. And so a lot of people are working with me to write that little giveaway book that shows what they know. And then when people read this, they go, oh my God, she really knows what she's talking about. And they sign up to be my client, even though this book barely scratches the surface. But that's what you do is you write, but don't write just a fluffy book. Like make sure it has value. Like I needed 5 more pages in this book for a certain number that I wanted that was beyond 36. So I added value to the end. I added like writers' conferences, key shortcuts on your computer, and things of value at the end. And I got 5 more pages where I wanted to be for this particular book.
That's amazing. I love that whole idea. How long do you think it takes the average person? You said 5 hours. They get pretty close. How much more time would it take them to?
I always say anybody can write a 36-page book in a day or two about something they know. Like just blather it down. We start, we have a secret way of starting. This is really cool. You start with a bullet list. Like I'm still editing this book, but you see the bullet list and then you just write down 10, 20 things that you want to make sure you talk about. Like if you're talking about a beach day of the family, the beach, the water was cold, just write anything. But once in a while, the titles will come to you. Like for me, it came to me, to blog or not to blog, after Shakespeare. Your author website, use Fiverr or hire an expert. And so, and then you can rearrange them, but you just want to put a bullet list fast and then that'll be your outline. We don't need big outlines. We don't need those. So you just, and I used to be a total pantser and I turned into an outliner and a pantser. It's called something. I can't remember. Do you know what it's called? A pantser and an outliner.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the term.
I gotta memorize that someday. But anyway, so then you've got this bullet list and you write the easiest one first, whether it's middle, end, whatever. We don't write it in order. Never write your book in order unless it's really just happening for you. So then you write the easiest one first, and that's what we do in the class. Then the next easiest one, then the next easy. And pretty soon you're going, well, I'm getting the book done. I'm doing really well. And then you can tackle the whole thing. But blather down what you know. Just blather it down and fix it later. You won't have much to fix really. And then there is one other step. I would suggest getting an editor because we don't need more bad books, but anybody can write a 36-page book in a day or two. Something they know, could be a memoir, could be a short memoir. And then you can get it edited and get it up on Amazon in a week or two. Join KDP today, everybody, because then you'll be there. And for mothers and parents, just think about this. Write your memoir, even if your kids won't want to read it now or even in the next decade, they will want to read it someday, and everybody should write their memoir. Everyone. And then another easy way to get published is just be in an anthology. Like we just did the Cinderella monologues. And there's a 3rd edition. And then all these women told their stories from struggle to success. So being but don't pay a lot to be in an anthology. Do the cheaper ones. Because some people are charging like $2,000, $7,000. That's not going to get you anywhere really. But just being in one that for under $1,000 or something. But so So any way you do it it's so easy to self-publish on Amazon right now. They make the process really easy. It's just 3 pages you got to fill in. And they have tutorials for everything there. Or on YouTube, you can find a tutorial for everything. Most people want me to hold their hand. So I go, okay, click this, and we go through the whole process. And I'm just helping someone today finish their book up on Amazon. Then it takes about 3 to 5 days for it to appear. And then you want to do a book launch. So there's a little bit of planning in that part. But anybody can self-publish on Amazon. Oh, here's the thing most people don't know. It's completely free.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Amazon. It really is. Yeah. So, okay, you kind of hinted at this. I'm going to ask it directly. One of the things I notice when I coach people is that not only is imposter syndrome an obstacle, but they also start thinking way ahead to the end of the book. So, for instance, as you were talking about being on Amazon and putting everything on, one of the fears I hear is, what if my book isn't an Amazon bestseller? What if nobody buys my book? What if this? What if that? And so when you have somebody who's finished a book, or even somebody who's thinking about starting a book and already looking at that direction, what is the likelihood, first of all, that they'll be on Amazon as a bestseller? And secondly, what can they do to promote their book to the best ability?
There's a lot, and this book goes through a lot of that. 101 surprising tips. We're probably giving it away today, right? Anyway,
You won't give it all.
well, anyway, what? Okay, so here's a secret, but I'm only going to say it here. Don't tell everybody.
Okay.
People are selling these huge programs that they're going to help you become a bestseller. And what they're not telling you is it really only takes 10 or 20 people buying your book on Amazon to become an Amazon bestseller. Then you take a screenshot and everything and you use it for your advertising. So a lot of people are writing their books to teach from. So they're really not making their money right on Amazon. They're making enough to pay for what they just did, but they're really making their money from selling their programs. Like when people read my book, they want to sign up with me because they can see I really know what I'm talking about. And you really know what you're talking about. And so you can become a bestseller on Amazon very easily. Do not sign up for those huge programs. They're saying that to sell you in the program. And then here's the problem, Dori. They're telling everyone to do their ebook first. That is a huge myth. They say you can only become an Amazon bestseller that way. No, I make all of my people a bestseller on, this book just came out today, actually. The stories about life choices. This is a great, funny book that's great for kids too, about her cat. And so all of them, she's become a bestseller. I think if I looked right now, he'd be a bestseller by now because he just, it came out yesterday and we've had everybody buying books today. All your friends and family will be buying your book at the beginning. Then you want to tell other people. And there's a lot to that advertising thing. But the main thing is the myth about doing your ebook first. Your ebook can become a bestseller a month down the road, 3 months down the road, 3 years down the road. That we can make happen all the time. That's very easy. But to make your paperback a bestseller is another thing. You want to get them all sold on the same day or in the same week. And I have a slow burn method that keeps some of my books up in the top 100 forever. And so, but the thing is, what they're selling you right now, everybody is, oh, you've got to do your ebook first. Don't do that. Do your paperback first. And the main reason is I want my book in people's hands and on their shelves. And the next best reason is that's where you're going to make your money. You're not going to make it with the ebook. And you're going to make a lot of the money back from whatever you spent on editing or maybe a book coach. And so do that first and then wait a month and then do the ebook. And then you got another chance to advertise. And then you want to do this thing that's in my book called Fussy Librarian. Have you ever heard of Fussy Librarian?
I have. Tell them about it though.
Well, I love Fussy Librarian because it's a newsletter and they have 100,000, 400,000 on it. I can't remember the number now. And it keeps growing. And I've done Fussy Librarian for most of my books. I do most of my books 1 to 2 times a year because every single time when I did my grandmother's book, the first time it came out, by the way, this is every woman's story of winning the right to vote. She was there and told a story no one else knows. She was the first woman lobbyist. Oh, and guess what? Oh, she created the School of Journalism at Columbia.
Yeah.
I know, with one other guy. Yeah. So anyway, so did you want to do that? Because then, wait, what was I saying? I'm sorry, I lost my.
Release it a month later on ebooks.
Yes, do the ebook And then that way you can get on Fussy Librarian and do the free. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to give my book away, but you do, because you're going to get 500 to 1,500, 2,000 readers. And often they'll buy your other books if you have other books. And then also they'll tell their friends. And here's something most people don't know. You get 1/3 a penny for every ebook page read. And one of my colleagues has a series, but series sell more as murder mysteries really sell in romance. And so he gets 1/3 a penny, and he makes $300 to $500 a month just from people reading his ebooks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So do your paperback, wait a month, do your ebook, and then do your hardcover. You don't want to do your hardcover, and I say do it all because it's real estate. You don't want to do your hardcover when you do your paperback because they'll compete for bestseller. Most people buy the paperback because it's cheaper. The hardcover is about twice as much. But then when you're all done with that, go to a thing called, write this down, ACX. That is the audiobook maker associated with KDP. And you can get your book done completely free if you do a royalty share. It's hard to find good readers sometimes, but you will find. I found a really good reader, and she's willing to do royalty share. She did her cat book. She did my Cinderella monologue. She's working on the new one now. And one man I know, he had 20 books and he had never done anything with them. And he's getting all his books done on ACX for free or a very small fee, like maybe $50 a book or something. So do it all, I say, because it's real estate. So do your paperback, then wait. Then do your hardcover and your ebook around the same time, and then get going on that audiobook. You don't even have to wait for the audiobook because it will take 3 months or so. So you could start that right away. Well, it has to be an ebook, though. It has to be an ebook before, because it has to connect to the two companies.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard so many different things. It's good to hear that you can space them out and that there's a reason to space them out.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of information out there that is saying release everything at one time, push really hard, get as many people to buy as you can. But you're right, it's in competition with itself because, again, if your ebook is much cheaper than your paperback, people are going to pick up the ebook first. What's your thought on doing free reviews?
Oh,
Like, specifically, I should expand that. So some people will send a PDF of the book and say, I will send you this PDF in return. You do a review for me on Amazon.
Yeah, good.
So what is your thought on that?
That's a great idea, and I ask everyone constantly, like when you're giving out your little blurb on Facebook or whatever, put in there somewhere, and please wait. You have to say this, wait till the book arrives at your house and leave a review so it will be certified. It won't be certified unless they receive it at their house. And then tell them it's only a sentence or two. You don't even have to read the book. And then have them leave a review. And because if you get 20 reviews, your book's on the map. 50 really on the map. 100, you've got it made. But most of us don't get that because everyone says they'll leave me a review and they don't. So what I'll do, I'll ask everyone to do it in all my advertising. But then I'll email certain people I know who bought the book and say, could you leave a review? It would really, really help. I'm always harping on them, but it's not on people's radar to do a review. So make sure you tell them it's at the very bottom left, whatever your left is, very bottom left. Tell them where it is because people can't find them because it's way at the bottom of your webpage, which is another wonderful attribute that Amazon gives us is our own webpage.
I love their author webpage. It's fabulous. That's actually something that a lot of people don't even realize they have that's on there.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to look people up on that and I get disappointed because I'm like, there's nothing on here. I don't know anything about this person. So then I'm getting on Perplexity and all the other things trying to find out about them where it's right there. It could be super.
Well, I use my webpage and I taught a guy today. He's from Boston. I'm from California. And I said, now use your webpage as your information page. So let's say you need your ISBN for something else or your bio. Just go to your webpage and grab them. And it's like a storage place.
Yes. Yes, that's brilliant.
We have description. Yeah.
Yes, great advice. Let me ask you also, we're talking about all these adults who write books. One thing that I think we both know and love is that kids can do this.
Yeah.
And so when we have authors who are parents who write books, hopefully there's some inspiration for these kids as well. So what's your experience with that and kids being writers?
Well, I had a mentor and she toured the world. They did house sitting all over the world. They didn't want to live in England anymore because it was cold. And so she was homeschooling her children, and she was helping people publish their books, and she helped them publish their books. They've each published like 2 or 3 books now, and when they were 8 and 10 years old. I think they're older now. And so it doesn't matter how old you are, and it's such self-esteem for a child to put out a book, whatever it's about. And then they also, one woman has me come and teach at her summits all the time because she's doing college prep and teaching people how to get all that money left on the table for college. In fact, I helped her write a book here. We did this book. It's available. You should get it, parents. It's really, really good about getting into college. And she has me come and speak to the parents about having their kids write a book, any book, because that will separate them in the college process of getting in, because most kids haven't written a book.
Wow. I wouldn't have ever thought about that either. Does it give them special scholarships or just like entrance? How does it help them?
It separates them from the crowd. So, this kid wrote a book and this one didn't, when they're having so many people. And she said there's quite a book, because I think every parent should have this book, because, and she was going to write some other ones and then she didn't. But anyway, it's a great book because there's so many grants, small, big, and large, and medium, that are left on the table. She says no one's going for them. And so she was homeschooling her kids and didn't have a lot of money. So she learned how to do the grants, and she got them each so much money that they each had like $10,000-$20,000 they still got to use after college for their own homes.
Wow, that's amazing. Totally worth the effort.
But she got excited about me because I was teaching people to write the short book, and the kids could do that, and it would separate them in the college entrance process.
Both my kids are, well, one kid's out of college, but one is still in. And I know she filled out, I think she said 30 scholarship applications. And I'm wondering, like, what would it look like for her had she had a book on the shelf that she could reference, in my book, da, 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 da.
She did workshops training the parents how to really facilitate that.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the fact, too, that you had young ones. I had some young authors that I illustrated for. And my favorite moments were seeing them on social media, reading to kids who are actually almost their age and younger. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so exciting. Such a gift to them and a gift to the other kids to know.
Another idea is, because, I do the Cinderella anthologies. And what I did one time with because I've done this for like 40 years off and on with people. Before Amazon, I've only done for like 7, 8 years, but because we were just doing other kinds of publishing back then. But I took a class I taught of homeschoolers, and there was like 12 kids, and we wrote an anthology back then. It was about probably 40 years ago, way before my daughter was born. And we did one called Dear Peter Rabbit. And it was like letters to the people in it came from another idea of another book I was reading to my daughter. And they go, "Dear Mr. McGregor, we don't like that you're trying to kill the rabbit. We don't like the rabbit." And they all wrote letters to different characters in the book. And then we published it, and they each got a copy or two. And so that's something you can do in a classroom as a teacher, is you could do an anthology. You could give them a theme to write about. Like I read that whole other book to them, then they all got ideas and they wrote to a different character. And then, or you could do a theme like what I love about Christmas, or my grandmother, or just different things. And you could do that with any age group. I mean, once they can write, probably starting at 3rd grade. And then you could do it in high school, and you could do it with parenting. You could start putting these, I do anthologies for people. And we've done all kinds. We did 2 anthology cookbooks, which are very exciting. So, there's just a lot of opportunities for everybody. And the kids, nobody's too young and nobody's too old. And remember, everybody should write their memoir. Everybody.
I think that's awesome. I love these ideas, Mila. They're awesome. Well, we're winding down to the last few minutes, and I have loved every moment of this. This is great information. I think they should probably pay for this particular episode, but we're not going to charge. And I really love how accessible you've made the authoring for people. Like, anyone can do this. So one thing that I definitely want is for our listeners to know where they can find you, how they can get a hold of you and work with you.
Yes, you can find me on milajohansen.com. You'll see my different programs that I offer. And then Write Your Short Book will be coming up again, And then, but most people sign up with me to work for 3 months. I'm very reasonable. I'm like, wait, everybody's telling me I should charge more, but what I'm charging is what I could afford. And so most people sign up with me for 3 months. I'm working with 10 people right now. I have plenty more time. And then I can help you get through the whole process. And then most people sign up again because they want to make another book. Warning, once you work with me, you'll probably get many ideas for many books. So I do that. And then if you want to really get a hold of me, it's my name backwards. It's my email, johansenmila@gmail.com. And then we can set up a meeting and see what your project's about. And you'll get very excited and you'll want to sign up with me. Or we could just have a meeting. That's fine too.
Well, I think our listeners will sign up or meet with you at some point for sure, once they get all inspired by this. So as we wrap up, Mila, there are so many free resources on writing, and not all of them are very helpful or truthful. So we want our listeners to feel empowered to take a leap of faith and get the book going. So thinking back to your own journey as an author before you ever published, how and what would be the best advice that you could give them to get their book started?
Just start. Put that pen on the paper, fingers on the keyboard, and start. And don't let anything stop you, and blather it down. That is the best advice because, Minnie Pearl, I've got to memorize her quote, but something like, done is better than perfect. Right?
Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, don't wait. And don't wait because when are you going to do it? And most people go, well, I'll do it when la, 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 la. But no, let's start today. There's always 5 minutes in a day. You could do it when you first wake up. You could do it right before bed. You could do it after lunch. You could do it anytime you think of. Just do it.
I love it. I love it. No excuses. They can blather on all they want and nothing is going to need to stop them.
Well, there's one more thing. You may have material already that it would make a great book. Like I've helped many people take their college papers and copy them, put them into a template, boom, 3 minutes, they've got a book. They may have to go back and format. A lot of other people were doing, transcripts from podcasts and from Zoom and all kinds of diary. You may have material already that you can just pop into, join KDP, get the template, pop it in there and fix it up. You may not have to write from scratch.
Oh, that's great advice. I think all of us have something lying around that we think, well, that could make a good book.
Yeah.
Even if it's sticky notes. Some people keep sticky notes all over and they could be an inspiration book of some kind.
This book came from her memes. She was in my classes for 5 years, and she said, I'm writing all these memes about my cat. And I go, well, those would make a book. So she took all her memes and then she filled everything in and she made a cat out of all the blurbs she wrote on Facebook.
Oh, that's so smart. Amazing. I love it. Okay, so we've given listeners no excuses. If they've ever thought about writing a book, they can start. We've got several ways for them to start. If they want to contact you, they should start with milajohansen.com. And if all else fails, contact one of us after this episode. You'll be able to look at all of the stats and information. So, Mila, thank you so much for your time today. This has been awesome.
Thank you.